The sun filtered through the towering trees, casting a warm, golden glow along the narrow forest path. A soft breeze rustled the leaves, and birds chirped in a gentle symphony. Noah, a curious and adventurous 3-year-old, crouched on the gravel, his chubby fingers tracing patterns in the dirt. Beside him sat Max, a majestic German shepherd, his ears perked and his deep brown eyes watching his little human with unwavering loyalty. But today was different. Today, Max was hurt. Noah's brows furrowed as he reached out toward Max's front paw, wrapped tightly in a bandage. The boy didn't fully understand wounds, but he knew that when someone he loved was hurt, he had to help. He let out a tiny sigh, his lips pursed in thought. "Does it hurt, Max?" he asked in a soft, concerned voice. The dog let out a low, reassuring woof and licked Noah's hand. He didn't want his little human to worry, but Noah wasn't so easily convinced. His wide blue eyes studied his furry friend, searching for an answer that Max couldn't say aloud. A few hours earlier, they had set off for their usual adventure, a walk through the woods behind Noah's home. Max was always by Noah's side, making sure the little boy stayed safe. But today, something had gone wrong. They had reached the riverbank when a rustling in the bushes made Max tense up. Noah, fascinated by a dragonfly, didn't notice the danger lurking nearby. A fox, its fur bristling and teeth bared, had emerged from the undergrowth. It wasn't a large creature, but its eyes were sharp with hunger and fear. Max had reacted in an instant. With a protective growl, he had stepped between Noah and the fox, baring his own fangs in warning. The fox had lunged, and in the scuffle, Max had taken a deep scratch to his paw before finally chasing the creature away. Noah had clapped his hands in excitement, thinking it was all a game. But when he saw the red stain on Max's fur, his tiny heart had clenched with worry. He had rushed back home, calling out for his mother, who had carefully cleaned Max's wound and wrapped it up. Now back in the forest, Noah sat in front of his best friend, his little fingers hovering over the bandage. "It's okay, Max," he whispered. "I take care of you now." Max tilted his head, his tail thumping against the ground as if to say, "You already do." Suddenly a sound broke the peaceful silence. A twig snapped. Max's ears twitched, and he turned his head sharply toward the trees. His body stiffened, his protective instincts kicking in. Noah, sensing the change in his friend's posture, looked up with wide eyes. A shadow moved between the trees. Noah gasped and grabbed onto Max's fur. "What is it, Max?" he whispered. The dog didn't growl, but his eyes remained locked on the movement ahead. Another rustle, another step. The presence in the trees was watching them. Noah's heartbeat quickened. He wasn't scared, not as long as Max was with him. Then the figure emerged. It wasn't a fox, it wasn't a deer, it was a man. His clothes were rough and dirty, his beard unkempt. His eyes darted between the boy and the dog as he took another slow step forward. Max let out a low, warning growl. His injured paw trembled, but he planted himself firmly between Noah and the stranger. Noah clutched Max's fur tighter. "Well, well," the man muttered. His voice was rough, like someone who hadn't spoken much in a long time. "What do we have here?" Max's growl deepened, his teeth bared. He would fight, even if he was hurt. The man raised his hand slightly. "Easy there, dog. I don't mean trouble." But his eyes flickered with something unreadable. Curiosity, hesitation, or maybe something darker. Noah didn't understand the tension in the air, but he knew one thing for sure. Max would protect him, and he would protect Max. The man took another step closer. Max let out a sharp bark. The moment stretched, heavy with uncertainty. Noah's small voice broke the silence. "Go away!" The man blinked, surprised at the little boy's defiant tone. Max took a step forward despite his injury, his muscles tensed, ready to act. The man hesitated, then gave a small smirk. "Brave little kid. You got a good dog." Then just as suddenly as he had appeared, he turned and disappeared back into the trees. Max stood still, ears twitching, until the sound of footsteps faded completely. Only then did he relax, licking Noah's hand as if to say, "It's okay now." Noah let out a breath. "Good boy, Max," he whispered, hugging his best friend tightly. But as they sat together in the middle of the quiet forest, one question remained in the air. Who was that man? And would he come back? The forest felt different now. Even though the man had disappeared into the trees, the weight of his presence still lingered. The birds, which had been chirping moments ago, had fallen silent. The wind barely rustled the leaves. Max stood firm, his injured paw slightly raised, his ears twitching at every sound. Noah, still hugging his best friend, glanced around, his small heart thumping in his chest. He didn't understand why, but something inside him told him they needed to leave. "Come on, Max," Noah whispered, tugging gently on the dog's fur. Max hesitated. His instincts told him to stay alert, to watch, to wait. But Noah needed to get home. With a soft huff, Max relented, pressing his wet nose against the boy's cheek before limping alongside him. They hadn't walked far when the feeling of being watched returned. Noah didn't see anything, but Max's ears flicked back, and his body tensed again. He knew someone was still out there. Was it the man? Noah grabbed Max's bandaged paw, trying to make him feel better. "We're almost home," he said, though it was more for himself than for Max. Then another sound. A crunch. A footstep. Max whirled around, placing himself between Noah and the direction of the noise. His growl was low, dangerous. Noah's breath caught as he saw movement in the trees again. But this time, it wasn't the man. It was something smaller. A girl. She looked older than Noah, maybe 7 or 8, with tangled dark hair and dirt-smudged cheeks. Her clothes were torn, her shoes barely holding together, her eyes wide and wary locked onto Noah's. For a moment, no one moved. Then she took a shaky step forward. Max, still on high alert, let out a warning bark. The girl flinched, raising her hands as if to show she meant no harm. Noah, still gripping Max's fur, tilted his head. "Who are you?" The girl hesitated. Then she pointed toward the trees where the man had disappeared. "Did he hurt you?" she asked softly. Noah frowned. "Number but?" He was scary. Max gave a small chuff, as if agreeing. The girl let out a breath of relief. "Good. You should stay away from him." "Why?" Noah asked. She bit her lip, looking around nervously. "Because he's looking for something, and I think he thinks you have it." Noah's brows scrunched in confusion. "I don't have anything." Max let out another low growl, still not sure if the girl was to be trusted. The girl hesitated again, then looked over her shoulder as if expecting someone or something to appear from the shadows. "I can't stay here," she muttered. "But you need to be careful." "Wait," Noah said, stepping forward. "Who are you?" The girl gave a sad, fleeting smile. "Just someone who knows how dangerous he can be." Then before Noah could ask anything else, she turned and darted back into the trees, disappearing like a ghost. Noah's small fingers tightened around Max's fur. Who was she? And what was the man looking for? As they finally reached the edge of the forest, Noah spotted his house in the distance. His mother would be inside, probably making dinner, expecting him to return from his walk like always. Everything looked normal, but Noah knew things weren't normal anymore. Something had changed in the woods today, and he had a feeling this was only the beginning. Noah's small legs carried him as fast as they could across the last stretch of forest, Max limping beside him. The sight of his house in the distance gave him a brief sense of relief, but his mind raced with questions. Who was that girl? What did she mean when she said the man was looking for something? As Noah and Max stepped onto the porch, the door swung open. "There you are," his mother exclaimed, kneeling down to pull him into a tight hug. "I told you not to go too far, sweetheart." Max gave a small grunt and lay down beside them, exhausted. Noah's mother ran her hand gently over the dog's fur, her eyes softening when she saw the bandage. "You're such a brave boy, Max," she murmured. Then turning to Noah, she asked, "What happened out there?" Noah hesitated. Would she believe him? "A man was in the forest," he finally said, "and a girl. She said he was looking for something." His mother's face changed. It was quick, just a flicker of something in her eyes. But Noah saw it. Worry, fear. She masked it quickly and pulled him inside. "You've been out too long," she said, brushing his hair back. "Come, let's get you both cleaned up." But Noah couldn't shake the feeling that she knew something. That night, Noah lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Max was curled up on the floor beside him, his bandaged paw resting on his other leg. The room was dimly lit by the moon outside, but Noah couldn't sleep. He could still hear the girl's voice. He's looking for something. What did that mean? As his thoughts swirled, he heard a noise, a soft creak, not from outside, from inside the house. Noah sat up slowly, listening. He glanced at Max, but the dog was still sleeping, his ears twitching slightly. Another creak. Carefully, Noah slid out of bed and tiptoed to his door, peeking into the dim hallway. A shadow moved near the living room. He held his breath and stepped forward. The floor felt cold under his feet as he crept closer. Then he saw her, the girl from the forest. She was inside his house. Noah gasped and she spun around, eyes wide. Shh, she whispered, holding up her hands. Noah blinked. How did you... Listen to me, she interrupted, her voice urgent. That man, he's coming back. He thinks you have something important. But I don't, Noah insisted. The girl bit her lip, glancing around. Then she whispered, do your parents own something really old? Something hidden? Noah frowned. He didn't think so. But then he remembered. There was a box, a wooden box his mother kept in the attic. She never talked about it. He had seen it only once when she was cleaning, and when he asked about it, she told him it was just a family thing. Was that what the man wanted? The girl seemed to see the realization in his eyes. Where is it? She asked. Noah hesitated. Why do you care? Because I know what he's looking for, she said. And if he finds it first, you won't be safe. A chill ran down Noah's spine. Before he could speak, another sound filled the house. A knock at the door. Not a friendly, gentle knock. A slow, deliberate one. Max jolted awake, his ears up, his body tense. He let out a low, warning growl. The girl grabbed Noah's hand. It's him, she whispered. Noah's heart pounded. The man had returned, and now there was nowhere to run. The knocking continued, slow, heavy, deliberate. Max stood by the door, growling deep in his throat. His fur bristled, his injured paw forgotten in the tension of the moment. Noah's breath came in quick, short bursts. He turned to the girl who was gripping his wrist tightly. We have to go, she whispered. But no time, she cut in, her eyes darting toward the hallway. Where's the box? Noah hesitated, but another knock, louder this time, sent a chill down his spine. The attic, he whispered back. The girl nodded. Then that's where we go. Max let out a warning bark just as the doorknob twisted. The front door was locked, but the rattle sent a wave of panic through Noah's chest. They sprinted toward the attic door. His mother had always kept the attic off limits, but now as he fumbled with the latch, Noah realized there was no other choice. The old wooden stairs creaked under their weight as they hurried up, Max following close behind. Behind them, the front door gave a loud crack. The man was forcing his way in. Noah's fingers trembled as he reached the top of the attic and scanned the dim space. Moonlight filtered through a small window, casting long shadows across the dust-covered floor. There, the girl pointed, the box. It was exactly where Noah remembered, sitting on an old wooden shelf covered in dust. Noah grabbed it with both hands, coughing as a cloud of dust swirled around them. The box was heavier than he expected, the carvings on its surface intricate, swirling in strange patterns. Boom! A crash echoed from below. He's inside, the girl whispered. Max let out another growl. We can't stay here, she said. We have to get out. Noah's mind raced. The attic had only one way out, the small window. But how? He asked, panic creeping into his voice. The girl glanced at Max. He's your dog, right? Yeah. Then he'll protect you, she said. And I'll buy you some time. Noah's eyes widened. What? No, you can't. She turned toward the attic door, determination in her eyes. Trust me. Before he could stop her, she darted back down the stairs. Noah clutched the box to his chest, frozen in place. Then he heard it, her voice ringing out below. You're too late, she shouted. A deep, slow voice responded. I think not. Noah didn't wait to hear more. With trembling fingers, he fumbled with the attic window's latch. It was stiff from years of being shut, but with a final shove, it creaked open. The roof slanted downward toward the backyard. If they could just make it down. Come on, Max, he whispered. Max hesitated, glancing toward the attic stairs. But when Noah gave the command, he obeyed. Carefully, Noah swung one leg out of the window, then the other, gripping the wooden ledge tightly. He was halfway onto the roof when... a scream. The girl. Noah nearly lost his grip. His stomach twisted, his hands slick with sweat. "Max, we have to go back," he whispered urgently. But before he could climb back inside, he heard footsteps pounding up the attic stairs. He wasn't alone anymore. Someone was coming. Noah's fingers trembled as he gripped the edge of the attic window, his heart hammering against his ribs. He could hear the heavy footsteps pounding up the stairs, slow, deliberate. Whoever was coming wasn't in a hurry. Max growled low in his throat, his ears flat against his head. The dog knew danger was near. Noah had seconds to decide. Run, hide, or face whoever was coming. Then, a shadow appeared in the attic doorway. The man. Noah froze, his breath caught in his throat. The figure was tall, his face partially hidden in the dim light. But his presence filled the small attic like a storm cloud. His gaze locked onto Noah, then onto the box. "You have something that belongs to me," the man said, his voice calm, but edged with something dangerous. Noah tightened his grip on the box. "It's not yours," he whispered. The man took a slow step forward. "You don't even know what it is, do you?" Noah swallowed hard. He didn't, but something inside told him it wasn't safe in this man's hands. Max let out a sharp bark, stepping in front of Noah protectively. The man barely flinched. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out something. A small, silver key. Noah's eyes widened. "A key? For the box?" The man held it up. "I can open it," he said. "I can show you what's inside." Noah hesitated. His curiosity burned like fire, but deep down, something told him not to trust him. "Why do you want it?" he asked. The man tilted his head. "Because it was stolen from me a long time ago." Another lie? Or the truth? Before Noah could respond, another sound filled the attic. A groan. A cough. The girl. Noah whipped his head toward the stairs. She was lying at the bottom of them, struggling to sit up. Her face was pale. Pain etched across it. The man barely spared her a glance. "She shouldn't have interfered," he said. Something inside Noah snapped. He didn't care what was in the box. He didn't care if the man thought it was his. All he knew was that the girl had risked everything to help him, and now she was hurt. He had to protect her. Noah made his decision. He turned, clutching the box tightly, and lunged out the window. Max barked in alarm, following without hesitation. The cold night air hit Noah as he scrambled down the slanted roof, his bare feet slipping slightly on the tiles. The ground below seemed impossibly far. Behind him, he heard the man curse. Then, a loud thud. Noah glanced back just in time to see the man gripping the windowsill, his face twisted in frustration. Max barked again. Noah took a deep breath and jumped. The fall was shorter than he expected, but the impact still sent a jolt through his legs as he hit the grass. Max landed beside him, shaking off the shock. They had no time to waste. "Come on!" Noah gasped, sprinting toward the forest. Behind him, the attic window creaked open wider. The man wasn't done. He was coming. Noah ran faster, gripping the box to his chest, his breath ragged. Whatever was inside it, whatever the man wanted, it was now up to him to protect it. Noah's legs burned as he ran, Max right beside him, his paws pounding against the earth. The cold night air stung Noah's lungs, but he didn't dare slow down. Behind him, he could hear the man crashing through the attic, his movements urgent now. He was coming. The box felt heavier in Noah's arms, as if it knew this was the moment of truth. Max suddenly barked, a warning. Noah barely had time to react before something whizzed past him, a knife. It struck a tree just inches from where he had been running. Noah's heart stopped. The man wasn't just chasing him. He was willing to hurt him for the box. "Keep running!" Noah gasped, pushing himself forward. The forest was thick, but Noah knew where he was going. There was an old tree, a massive oak with a hollow in its trunk, where he and Max used to hide when playing. It was their only chance. They sprinted toward it, slipping through the thick undergrowth just as the man's voice rang out behind them. "You can't run forever, boy." Noah ignored him, diving toward the hollow. He pressed himself inside, Max squeezing in beside him. His heart thundered in his ears as he clutched the box, trying to steady his breathing. The man's footsteps slowed. Noah peered through the gaps in the tree's bark, his whole body frozen. The man was just a few feet away now, his silver key still glinting in his hand. His eyes swept the forest, searching. He took a slow step forward, then another. Noah held his breath. Then, a sound, a rustling from behind the man. The girl. She stepped out of the shadows, her face determined, her hand gripping a thick branch. The man turned just as she swung. The branch struck him across the back, knocking him off balance. Noah didn't hesitate. He grabbed the box and, with shaking hands, pulled at the lid. He had no key, but he had to try. The wood groaned. The carvings on the surface seemed to glow faintly. Then, click. The box popped open. A strange light spilled out, illuminating Noah's face. Inside was an amulet, its surface swirling with a faint golden energy. It pulsed, as if alive. The man turned toward Noah, his face twisting with desperation. "No, you don't know what you're doing." But Noah did know. He didn't understand how, but he felt it. This amulet wasn't his, and it didn't belong to the man either. It belonged somewhere else. Noah grabbed it. The moment his fingers closed around it, a warmth spread through his chest. The amulet pulsed once, then burst with a wave of blinding light. The man screamed. The energy surrounded him, wrapping around his limbs like invisible chains. He stumbled, his silver key falling from his grip as the light grew brighter and brighter. Then, silence. When the light faded, the man was gone. The forest was still. The only sounds were Noah's ragged breaths and Max's soft whimper. Noah turned to the girl. She was staring at the empty space where the man had been, her expression unreadable. What happened?" Noah whispered. She took a deep breath. "He was never supposed to have this," she said, looking at the amulet. "And neither were we." Noah hesitated, then slowly placed the amulet back inside the box. The glow faded, as if it understood. The girl looked at him. "We have to hide it, somewhere no one will ever find it again." Noah nodded. Max gave a small bark, as if in agreement. Together they walked deeper into the woods, searching for a place where the amulet's power would remain hidden forever. Because some things, some secrets, were never meant to be found.